Welcome everyone to our webinar celebrating our partnership with GAA Go. Do you want to try that sound there? Yeah, okay. Welcome to our webinar celebrating our 70 Minutes of Home campaign, which basically we sponsor GAA Go, and it's designed to give people a taste of home. Basically, the county championships obviously are on both hurling and football are beamed across the world on the GAA Go platform. This is I suppose the end of our second year, and we've I suppose initially started off at the start of a pandemic, which wasn't simple, and but it's really been brilliant actually, and the numbers tuning in on the GAA Go platform have really sort of took off, particularly during the pandemic, and people really have a sort of a yearning for home, and our sort of concept behind this whole thing was to give people really just a taste of home, and if you look at our website 70minutesofhome.ie, it gives us sort of an idea of what we're doing. So I think there's about 8 or 9 films up there now. They're 70 minutes long. We've say, lads, if you just tap on, it's all right there, I'd say, but when you're not speaking, just tap on mute when you're going down. So just to welcome our two guests today, our two GAA Go brand ambassadors, Shane Walsh from Kilkerran, Clonbourne and Galway, and Tony Kelly from Ballyea and Clare. Welcome, lads. How are you doing?
Colin, how are you doing?
Not too bad, no.
Good. So basically, Shane, your club is Kilkerran, Clonbourne, Galway. Is that right? I have that right, have I?
Yeah, Kilkerran, Clonbourne. Yeah, that's our football club, between the ladies and the men's.
Yeah, there's no hurling in the club, is there? Or
no, there's the only other thing we have would be soccer. Kilkerran United.
All right.
Other than that, then there would be nothing else. They said hurling wouldn't be strong in our part of the country or part of the county.
Yeah. You're close enough, sort of, to Tuam. Is this? You're that sort of end of the county, is this? Or
yeah, we would be. We'd be North Galway. So the way I always kind of tell someone is, if you drop a pin between Tuam, Dunmore, and Montbellew, you literally land in Clonbourne.
All right.
So we'd be about 15 or 20 kilometres from Tuam.
Oh, were you that far? I thought you were a bit closer, yeah. And who would your sort of rivals be down there? Are there any sort of close neighbours that sort of the next parish over? Or?
We've too many of them. We've between Killearn, Cortoon, Dunmore, and Montbellew probably would be our closest now. But obviously, in the last couple of years, Dunmore, Killearn, and Cortoon probably would be our biggest rivals because we'd be playing at the same level.
Yeah. And are ye or senior? You were intermediate, were you? And when senior was it, or?
No, unfortunately, the opposite way around. We went down in 2015 and we lost 2 intermediate county finals, one in 2016 and one in last year. And then there was a famous episode against Clare Galway back in 2017 in a semi-final where got blown for time waste and taking a free kick to win it. So yeah.
Who did? Who got blown?
Yeah, of course it was me. Never seen the likes of it to happen before the game.
Yeah.
They weren't kicking the ball out to me for 45, and eventually when it did come out, I was probably about 2 steps from the ball when he blew the whistle, and I didn't really know if the whistle was for blowing it up to say it's pulling it up or else to take it, but I followed through with the kick, and of course it went over the bar. But yeah.
Bloody hell. And Tony, your club is obviously Ballyea and the hurling, and I think you play football as well for Clondegad, do you?
Yes. So our
tell you what, Tony, there's interference there. If you log out, Aaron will bring you back in again and try and sort it out.
I'm trying to mute.
You can hear me okay there, Shane, yeah?
Yeah, I can. I'm just wondering, how do I mute?
No, you don't need to mute. You're fine, actually. It's not. I don't think it's you causing the problem. Maybe is this or?
Perfect.
Yeah, you're grand. Sure. Look, we'll see there. Erin is in the background there. She'll work on it. Just in terms of Kilkerran, Shane, like I think John Dively was a player down there, and with Martin Breheny down there as well.
Yeah, no, I suppose we've had our fair share, and Christy Turl was down the side as well, and obviously probably the most recent would have been Damien Dunleavy. He played with Galway up until probably 2008, maybe 2009. But he immigrated over to London.
Yeah.
And because we actually played them in 2014, it was my first championship game to start with Galway. Right. And it was funny. We met after the game. Both of us were wearing number 11 on the day, and we swapped jerseys after the game. So, kind of a nice moment too.
Brilliant. That was brilliant. Yeah. Tony, you're back there. We'll just try again there and just see how it's going.
Yeah.
Still the same. I'd say. I wonder. Yeah, Shane's on mute there. Try again there, Tony. Just in terms of might be Shane's. Just if he's on mute, it might be fine. Yeah. Can you hear me, Tony? Are you?
Yeah, I'm here now. Yeah. No, still there.
I'd say it's you. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. In terms of starting off, Shane, in terms of the football, did you go straight into Gaelic football? Like, was it in your family? Like, in terms of father and mother and that type of thing.
It's probably something it's a funny one because Mum was always the sporting one in the family. Even Dad might be happy to hear that, but it was always Mum would have all our medals from running and the high jump, and I think it was the javelin throw as well. So that she's definitely claiming all the sporting attributes. But I would have started off as probably just, if they always say, I came out womb with a football.
Yeah.
And just took it up since then, and went into Clonberne National School then. And like my principal at the time, Padder Brandon, was very good to me as regards football. Like, we used to play the older girls when I was in the younger classes. We'd play the older girls, and the big thing was when I'd be scoring a good bit in the games, he would come along and kind of see the game, and then was said to me about practicing the opposite foot. Like, so I would have primarily started off with my right foot, and then would have went obviously practicing my left foot then after him getting me to practice sessions. So I know an awful lot to him as regards to my skill level of when I'm playing football.
Yeah. And did you play any other sports growing up as well, like, or was it mainly Gaelic football? Or?
Just soccer. I played soccer with that local club, Kilkerran United, until I was about 18. Yeah. And in the last couple of years, I've kind of played a small bit in the off season, like, so. Yeah. They get about 5 or 6 games out of me. Yeah, so, and we've a nice streak going at the moment where we haven't lost a game that I've played. So fingers crossed that stays going.
Yeah. Tony, we might try you again there and see if you're okay. You can hear us. Yeah, no, that's
I can hear you perfect now.
Seems to be perfect now. Yeah. So obviously, Tony, you play hurling for Ballyea, and is Clondegad in the football? Do you play still, or?
Yeah. So we're Ballyea for the hurling. We're 5-10 minutes outside of Ennis, and then we've no actual football club in Ballyea, so we play with a neighbouring club, and they play hurling with us. So that's kind of that's kind of the way it's working for years now.
Yeah, and so like it isn't like you're playing with rival hurling lads in the football team. It's sort of a complete crossover, is this? Or?
Well, we're kind of outside of Ennis, so us and Kilmaley would be the two kind of hurling clubs outside of Ennis, and then to West Clare. So anyone from, let's say, Cora Clare, Lissycasey, Coolmeen, Kilmahel, Kilkee, if they're to hurl, Ballyea and Kilmaley are their nearest hurling clubs, so they're kind of split between the two. So you could be playing with a couple of lads hurling championship this week, and you could be marking them next week in football. So that's kind of the way it goes. But it seems to be working out for us so far. So long may it continue.
Yeah, and then you won the county championship 16 and 18, was it?
Yeah, so we won in 16, we won it in 18, and with the county final again this Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And you won Munster in 16, did you?
Yeah, won the Munster Club in 16. Beat Glen Rovers in the final. Got to Ireland Club and just come up against a very good Coola team. And they were better than us on the day now and deserved to win it.
Yeah. Who are is Kilmaley your big rivals then down there? Or?
Kilmaley be close. They'd be kind of up the road from us, and then Clarecastle would be kind of a staunch historic kind of a GA club in Clare, and they're actually in the same parish as us. So you have Clarecastle on one side and Ballyea on the other side. So they would be our closest rivals. Erodin are just kind of in the road as well. So there's kind of 3 or 4 clubs, there isn't 10 minutes between them. So so Kilmaley, Clarecastle would be the closest to us. 6 Mile Bridge would be a good distance away from us, but we've played them kind of in every final underage up along 12 all the way to 21. But never played them in a senior final, so they'd be other kind of rivals of ours as well.
And in terms of growing up, then did you start off hurling? Like I know you probably did a bit of both. Was it hurling first, football second, or?
It was actually kind of hurling and soccer. I didn't play much football maybe till under 14. Didn't play any under 10 or under 12. It was mainly hurling. And then a bit of soccer kind of at the weekends. That was kind of it. There was no really dual sports. In secondary school then, played an awful lot of football and hurling then from then on. Yeah.
And did you go to the same school you're teaching in secondary then? Or
yeah. So I went to St. Flannan's College in Ennis. So loved every bit of it as a student, and lucky enough to be back as a teacher now as well.
Yeah, very good. And Shane, just in terms of you were mentioning about your own county sort of championship there, you're knocked out. So that's I think in Galway it's run off as groups, is this, and then it's sort of through to quarterfinals. Is it semi-finals or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so to say the intermediate championship there's 16 teams, so it's 4 groups of 4, and then it's top 2 going to the quarterfinals, and the relegation side then is a bit messier. It's like bottom 4, and then 2 of the lowest scoring third place teams. But so it's actually county final stage now with Nivana Letchamore against Dunmore.
Oh, there are 2 new teams in the final this year, are they? Or
yeah, Dunmore would have been knocking on the door probably the last couple of years in semi-final stage. They never kind of got past that stage, whereas Nivan Letchamore went down to intermediate probably 2 years ago, and so they're back in the final now, and so they'd have a relatively strong chance as well. But it'll be an interesting game because Dunmore have a lot of young players coming through. They have a good under-19 team there as well, and Nivan Letchamore obviously have senior experience coming down and kind of getting their act together, so should be a good final.
Yeah, no, look, it's we're really at the sort of the business end of the year, like, and I suppose it's been great that the GAA go up and show them the finals, online as well. And I know a lot of clubs and counties are showing them sort of live as well, which is different sort of from a few years ago. It makes it much more sort of accessible. So
that's probably the big thing that it has done the GAA Go, because I'd have a lot of friends and even family that'd be out abroad in other countries as well. So it's great because otherwise they're just relying on results or something like that, or waiting for a message from someone. Whereas being actually able to watch the game abroad is, it's huge because like GA is massive in the culture in Ireland. So like it's great for them to have that opportunity to be able to watch the games.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like I played. I was from a soccer background, but I played football in Dublin for Round Towers and as a juvenile coming up. But my first real experience of a county final was in Laois, and I brought a nephew along who'd never been at a hurling county final, and Cameras were playing Castletown. And there was an absolute sort of war after the match with the stand emptied out onto the pitch, and there was plenty of boxing and that's all that sort of stuff. And it actually got me like we moved to the parish, like, and Cameras is very much a hurling parish. There's no football, there's no nothing. I don't think there's anything bar hurling like goes on, but it sort of, the whole sort of GAA culture and parish type of, effects really on people's lives and that type of thing. It was just, it sort of underpinned everything that was going on in their day to day. It sort of comes before work and that. And after, like, I sort of found it a bit mad, like after county finals, like in Laois, I don't know whether it happens with G, like, but where the winning team heads over to the team they've bet, you know what I mean, and sits down and has pints the next night, and the losing team comes over on the Tuesday night, you know what I mean, and has more points, and this thing goes on for about a week after, so it's a bit sort of bonkers, but it sort of really works, overall, Tony, are Ballier in the final on Sunday, is this? You're on mute there, Tony. You're just on mute there, Tony. Can you hear us okay?
Signal's not great, Tony, clear.
Yeah, totally. They need to invest in broadband down there for sure, so just give it a shout when you're back in, Tony, you're fine. In terms of the club versus county sort of thing, Shane, like obviously it must, like, particularly when you were working, I think as well with you're with was it AIB or Bank of Ireland? You were with one of the banks or anyway?
Bank of Ireland, yeah.
Yeah, Bank of Ireland. Like, in terms of making that sort of work, club and county and work and all that type of thing, it must be absolutely hectic. Is this fair?
Yeah, like I always said when I was getting up in the morning, like you're basically packing for the whole day, like including the evening. So I could be leaving the house at 9:15 in the morning, and I might be home to 10:15 that night.
Yeah.
So like it's full on, like, especially probably even like with the dress code in the bank, you're trying to look after your clothes and everything when you're going away from work and heading to training. You have the hangers with you and everything. So but like I suppose, look, I always said it's a choice that I make to play, like it's something I enjoy and it's something I love doing, and I never really see it as a chore.
Yeah.
So like it's something that I suppose it's never going to grow old for me.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Tony, you're back there. Ballier in the final in Clare on Sunday, is it?
Yeah, so Sunday we're playing Aina Kilnamona. So it's their first county final. They were two clubs up to, I think it was 2007 or 2008. So yeah, very good team. A lot of lads playing with the county setup, so we know a lot of them. Yeah, so should be a good final.
Are Ballier favourites and likely maybe, is it?
It's actually hard to call. Both teams are kind of suffering with injuries, so it's a very hard game to call. They had actually a great win in their semi-final against Éireog. Éireog would have knocked out 6 Mile Bridge, who won it the last couple of years. So Clonmona had an excellent win. They got out of a very tough group as well. And we've been playing all right, kind of. Maybe not playing well for a whole game, but kind of grinding out results. So yeah, it should be a good game. I don't think the weekend isn't promised too bad weather-wise either for the month of November. So yeah, it's kind of a novel final. Ballet or Eintlamoon have never played each other in a semi-final or a final. So it's kind of a weird one. You'd be hoping kind of the injuries clear up for kind of both sides, and you'd have a right good game.
Yeah. This might sound like a stupid question, but you've obviously played in a couple of county finals and that. What's the difference between sort of, the feel and atmosphere for a county final versus sort of a county All Ireland final for Clare?
Yeah, they are drastically different. I think the club, it is low key in terms of the whole county. When you're at work, it's kind of easy to get away from the build up, but kind of when you go home, then you see signs and flags and everyone's talking about it locally. It's a lot easier kind of get away from the hype of a county final, whereas an All Ireland final, no matter where you go and the lead up to an All Ireland final, there's just no kind of getting away from the build up. But both enjoyable, but they're only enjoyable kind of when you win them. When you lose them, they're not that enjoyable. So yeah, hopefully we win on Sunday. But yeah, they're the games you kind of want to play in when you start out first. It's all about your club team and winning with your club when you're under 8, under 10. And the goal is to get onto the senior team and win something. And then obviously, if you've good lads within the club, hitting up a county level, the goal then changes to winning with your club, but also trying to win with your county. So they're both equally special, but different in their own way as well.
And from a pressure perspective, would you notice, like I know the build-up and all that sort of stuff for an All Ireland county is huge, but on the other side of this, and pressurised in that build-up then for the county.
Yeah, I suppose the pressure is probably different to both of them. We're blessed kind of in Ballet. We've 3 or 4 in the inter-county hurling panel, and we've 5 lads on the inter-county football panel. So we have lads that are used to playing in big games. So it's not we're not just dependent on maybe 1 or 2 lads to maybe be talking and dressing them the whole time. There's a fresh voice, and it's a big help to management as well, because on the field we have lads that are able to make a change or make a switch until management can kind of figure out a plan, and that's a massive help to a club team as well. Which I suppose the pressure that comes with the county is I suppose the whole hype around it, the exposure it gets on TV and around the country, and even outside of the country, the likes of abroad as well. Everyone is tuning in to look at an All Ireland final or a semi-final or games like that. So there is different pressures with it, but I said at the end of the day, you don't mind dealing with it as long as you get it come out on the right side of the result.
Yeah. Just from looking forward really to who comes out of sort of Munster, and Leinster and the North, probably in Connacht, who would you sort of be looking at to take the All Ireland in county or the All Ireland club in February, or be any sort of
in terms of club, is it? Yeah, sure. Down in Munster, like it's very hard to call. Ballygunner have an exceptional club team. When you look at their team and their record, especially in Waterford, they won a Munster club in 18 as well, so they have that experience. They're an exceptional outfit. Tipperary as well. Lockmore. See what Lockmore are doing in both codes. Thurles are back in their county final. It's just it's an extremely hard one to call. It's a lot of it is to do with a bit of momentum and a bit of luck as well. We won a Munster club in 16. Just kind of rode the crest of a wave. That kind of feel good factor of actually winning and building on that with momentum, and it's actually I kind of describe it nearly as it's nearly a completely different sport this time of the year. We like to kind of think that the old winter hurling kind of suits us in terms of being a big kind of physical team. Kind of a lot of athletic guys, but yeah, we're kind of hoping to draw on that bad weather if we can kind of get it. But it's hard to look past Ballygunner. They've been very impressive to date, and as I said, that experience from 18 as well.
Yeah, Fergal Hartley, I'd love to hear that one now. I don't know whether you know Fergal in Waterford, but he's what we call him, a frenemy of ours on the recruitment side. He owns a recruitment company down there. But just on the football side, then Shane, who would you be looking at really to come through in February? Do you think?
I suppose obviously whoever comes out of Galway is going to have a great chance, because Kerfin obviously are the reigning All-Ireland champions, even though there was nothing last year and they got beaten by Mountbellew in the semi-final. So that's going to be an interesting final this weekend. And then you look around the country, then you see obviously across in Dublin you have Kilmacud in the final against St. Jude's, and the only thing I'd say about the Leinster Championship is it's nearly so intense that they're nearly worn out coming to an All-Ireland semi-final stage, and you probably don't see them coming through as much. But Kilcoo have won up there in Down, and they're going to be strong again. And you're looking down south. Then again, it's hard to know with the Kerry teams as well. So I definitely think though that whoever probably comes out of Connacht, mainly probably looking at maybe the likes of Knockmore or Kerfin or Mountbellew or something like that. They should be knocking round come.
Yeah, and Tony mentioned the sort of weather this time of year. Obviously, have you noticed much of a change in the season on the club side? Has it helped? Do you think you down there in Galway, Shane, or is it a bit of a hindrance? And the whole thing have been moved from, say, Paddy's Day back to in terms of the final and that.
Yeah, I suppose they're trying to work on the fixture of everything and trying to make things not overlap, I suppose, and it's a tough one to get right. Obviously, for an inter-county player that's playing with their club, as Tony said, it's you take huge pride in representing your club at inter-county level, but you kind of don't want it taken over into each other's seasons. So I think it will be condensed back like it was 2 years ago. They were working on it big time with Kerfin and Kilcoo been on in January. So I do think it's just about condensing it back a bit more, and I think that starts with the inter-county season starting to condense that. And even this year will be a good start. With the final supposed to be in July as well, so that's going to be a huge plus for clubs, because plus they'll get that kind of summer ball at the start of the championship. I know Tony and Ballier mightn't be a big fan of it, but we'd definitely be a fan of the hard grounds and the quick ball. So
Galway voted against. I think Galway voted against Proposal B, didn't they? In the thing recently, were you on? What was your sort of thoughts on that whole sort of debate? Or
yeah, obviously, I'm not part of the county board side of things and that, but I was in favour of it.
I'm going to say we're not recording it, but we are recording it.
But obviously, I'd be in favour of a change, because, as I was saying to you, you're just trying to work on even the gaps between games and stuff like that. I always go back to, I think it was 2016. I think, we played. It was a Connacht semi-final in June the 11th, and we finished the league in probably late March. So there was 11 weeks there of a gap between that league game and our first championship game, which is you think of all the time that's eaten into for clubs, for where county games can be brought forward in that space. And I obviously then, from a point of view with Proposal B, you have more games, and for anyone that's playing inter-county, I don't know if Tony be in the same bat as that, but like you'd love to play more games than to be training more. Like, you know, then it'd be great to have a game every second week than to be training 4 or 5 weeks in a row and then playing a game. Like, you know, so.
What do you think of that, Tony?
Yeah, well, we kind of have that now back again this year. We have 4 championship games rattled off in a short space of time in Munster. Yeah, it's good. As Shane says, you want to be playing games. You don't want to be like, historically you could be training 150 times a year for 4 games. The ratio to training and games, it just wasn't very enjoyable. The reason you train is to actually play in those big days, and as many as you need to get as many as you can. So the hurling is going back to the round robin. So we know our 4 games. And as Shane was saying, the split season, it's actually April. The inter-county is starting, the hurling is starting in April. So as Shane says, you're kind of given 2 nice months back to the club in July and August, which is good for the club lads as well, because they can plan now exactly what they want to do. If they want to go away for a break in May or June or whenever, they have a definite kind of a start point, which is important for club players as well, because historically they've kind of been waiting. Well, will the county be knocked out in May or June, or if they go on a run to August, we mightn't be out till September. So that's important for them as well. And as Shane says, you just don't want an overlap. You don't want to be going from your county, then back maybe to your club for the month of April, and then back into the county. It's just the split season was the best way forward.
Yeah, and how do you looking at it from the outside, and not definitely not been a sort of county player? I always I'd say the Munster Championship for ye, and I suppose Connacht for Shane. And it's really important, but I always felt if they could turn the All-Ireland sort of championship into much more of a league sort of format and more matches, and you know, it sort of I know to a certain degree the weaker, so-called weaker teams get affected, but do you think that's the route the county should really try and go, Tony? You know, in terms of more games, as you say, but done on a sort of league basis, or have they got it right now, do you think?
Yeah, if you look at the hurling, you have the 5 teams in Munster, and you've the 5 or 6 in Leinster as well. So they kind of have the proposal be that wasn't passing the football is kind of already in with the hurling, with the tiered system, with the Joe McDonough as well being a very good competition, and the winners of that coming up to the Liam McCarthy every year. In terms of a league basis for the All-Ireland, yeah, I think it would enhance the hurling again. I think the round robin is good in terms of everyone within their own province, but from a player's point of view, you wouldn't mind travelling to Kilkenny for a championship game and then coming to you every year. Same thing with Galway, who are only a stone throw away from Clare, just up the road. So yeah, I'd like to see it. Even if they were to maybe move the Munster Championship to a kind of a championship competition.
Yeah,
before the actual All-Ireland. And you might have to revert back to the kind of a knockout system for that. You're just your quarterfinal, semi-final, final for the Munster Championship and Leinster Championships, and then into kind of a league-based All-Ireland. But then again, you go down the route of where you're going to get the time to fit all these in,
and the club,
and still have your split season with the club. So look at I think the hurling season or the hurling championship isn't broke in terms of a kind of a championship format at the minute. The first year of the round robin in 18 was as good a championship as we've had for years. And 19 was good as well, and obviously it's been interrupted with COVID since. So the next couple of years will tell a lot with it.
Yeah, good. Shane, I suppose in terms of that sort of question about more matches and a league, it's probably worked really well. Look, I played a lot of soccer and follow soccer. When you look at the Premier League, like the FA Cup probably in the 60s and 70s was the big competition, similar to the All-Ireland. now it's a sort of a secondary competition, and the Premiership is really sort of, the Premier League really has sort of taken over. Do you think they could sort of do that as well in football, or?
Yeah, I think that was probably the big obstacle with Proposal B, was how they were prioritizing the provincial championships. I think the big thing is for, as a player in that scenario, that you need to kind of have an incentive for the counties to play in your provincial series. So like, be it a case of maybe a seeded team as a result if you win your provincial area. And then that can work into that league format then. Whereas I think like the way the Ulster Championship is played, like especially like that's probably the most intense of the lot, because you're probably 6 or 7 teams who have a very good chance of winning it. And if they're all playing for something that there's going to stand nothing in a league, it's not going to draw as much. I know they'd be very proud of that as well. No more than we would be in Galway, like for a Connacht Championship, like, because as I always said, like, be it a game of tiddlywinks or football, we'd love to be beating Mayo and beating Roscommon. So like, that's the way it always is. Like, and who
do you love beating the most? Would you say, is it Mayo you love beating the most, or Roscommon? Would you say, Shane?
Like historically, the rivalry be with Mayo, and when you get to senior level in particular, that's always the big one, I suppose. But like, through underage, Mayo probably weren't strong at my age group, and it was always Roscommon. And we'd have crossed over a bit with Roscommon in the schools. I was in St. Charlotte's and Tuam, and we played Roscommon CBS a couple of times. So you'd see those lads crossing over into senior level as well at the moment. So there's an agenda for both to be up there. I don't know who I'd like to beat more, but beating them both is preferential.
Very good. In terms of Tony, just in terms of, I suppose that one of the key reasons we got into sort of GAA Go and partnering with them was attracting people back home. Have you seen much sort of emigration in around your part of the world there, like over the past year, and has it affected sort of clubs locally or that? Or?
Yeah, so we've seen a lot of immigration. The first Connacht Championship that we won in 2016, the following year, I think we had 5 that left between America, Australia. So out of that 5, I think there's 4 still gone. So we're hoping that a couple of them are coming back for next year's, back for good and back for next year's championship from a selfish point of view for the team. But yeah, so they would have been 4 or 5 starters from that team. So a third of our team was gone in 2016, and yeah, look, that's just the nature of it. Lads going to maybe experience traveling. Other lads just going, maybe wanting to change the scenery or whatever the case may be. But yeah, we were definitely hit with it. And like I'd say every other club, whether it's lads going on J1s during the summer, missing championship, other lads, they might want to go on career break and go traveling for a year or two. And other people go with the intention of coming back within a year and end up liking it, finding work. And yeah, look, we're no different to any other club. We've had our share of it. But as I said, there's rumours that there's 2 or 3 coming home. They're homesick, hopefully, and hopefully they stay around.
Very good. And just be interested in the last 18 months since COVID, have less people been leaving, would you say?
Yeah, that can work. That can work against you too. That lads are cooked up at home, and now once planes start taking off again, they'll want to. They might have an urge to go. They might have put off traveling, might have put off career breaks or whatever. So yeah, we've although we've a few coming home, we've a couple chirping about heading away in January for a year. So yeah, so the COVID was great in terms of lads even working in Dublin, coming home and being around. It was probably the only positive kind of from a GAA point of view. Instead of having maybe 10 lads, 12 lads at the pitch, while the county's gone on, you had 18 or 19 lads. So
Yeah.
that was the one kind of positive, if there was any positive to come out of COVID.
Yeah. And Shane, have you seen many leaving the immigration from your locality there in your parish, or?
Probably when I started off originally, 16 years of age, there was a big gap between the age of like 23 and 30, that there was all of those players basically. We'd no one in that age group when I was starting out at senior level, which is again made for us to struggle a lot at senior level. But that's kind of, I suppose, the group that's been there between, just say from me being 16 to 23, that's kind of stayed true, which we've been looking up with. And lads probably have been involved in inter-county setups, like the likes of Johnny Ryan would have been involved, and Conor Abbott, Martin Shaughnessy, and John's probably kept lads around as well. So, but like it's been difficult. Like, but then COVID, then like you said, Tony was saying there, it can work for you or against you. Like, and like in the last 2 years, we probably had record numbers at training because nobody had anything else to do, and they were just like, there's no pubs open, and they were just heading off out to training. And Joe, it was great because you mightn't see some lads there who weren't training for years, and you get to meet up with them again, and have the crack in that and train away. And it probably helped us last year as well in getting to the intermediate final. Whereas, like, again, when things start to open up, then it's just that bit easier for lads probably just to dodge it, or to say, oh, I grafted enough there for 1 year, I'm not going to do it again. Like, it, especially I think with the level that it's gotten to, it's changed in the last couple of years in regards to club level, that it's stepped up again. So like if you step away for 3 or 4 years, it's that bit harder to come back.
Yeah, for sure. And I suppose, Tony, the remote work thing is probably going to help a little bit. Because I think you're right, actually. People, I know in our parish, people are tending to go away more for sort of a year and come back potentially. Now, that some of them obviously do stay away, whereas probably 20 years ago, people were going away for a long time, to emigrate really for work purposes. But look, we're seeing it on the ground. Like, there's just an amazing amount of work going on and jobs sort of out there, so potentially that might help keep people in parishes longer.
Yeah, definitely. Even some lads that are that want to go away now, in maybe go to Australia for a year or whatever, that remote working or working from home, some of them, I know a couple of lads that can actually continue to work while traveling. And the same thing with the remote working, I suppose, local rural areas, you don't have to go to Dublin Monday to Friday. You might be able to work from home maybe 2 days a week, which is a massive help, especially from the club training point of view. If we have lads in Dublin, they might be able to work at home on a Friday and get the train on Friday evening, and they'll also get a session at the weekend. So the remote working definitely has benefited clubs, numbers at clubs, participation, and as Shane said, it's kind of it's nice to see as well. It's lads, it may be younger lads that you mightn't have grown up playing with your own age, or older lads, and the more they're around, the more you get to see them. And yeah, it's, as I said, it's probably the only real big positive that came out of COVID. And the biggest thing about it is it looks like it's here to stay as well. So it can only benefit, I suppose, people's work-life balance as well. The last thing you want to be doing is leaving work of a 5 o'clock and heading into a 2-hour car journey and do your session, and then head back into your car and head back up the road to wherever you're going. So there's only a certain amount of time lads can do that for. So yeah, it's a massive help to clubs.
Yeah, very good. Shane, you're making a bit of a career move at the moment, I hear you. You're sort of changing it up and going for the big move.
Yeah, no, I am indeed. I suppose COVID inspired probably a lot of thinking in that time, and I suppose like from an area where I'd like to be in a couple of years' time, as regards when I finish inter-county football, I'd like to get into coaching, and I suppose it probably prompted me to think about where I was at the moment and where I'd like to be. So, and then just I suppose I've been into a lot of schools even in the last couple of weeks, just kind of shadowing and stuff like that, and in fairness, like it was. I think it's the right move for me to. It's an environment I like, working with people and coaching people, and kids especially. Like I'd love to go back to grassroots, like put in the time that was put into me, and help them along. And I suppose that's similar enough in the school sector as well. And I'd like to think I have a good way with people, be it kids of 6 to 20 or to older than that again, so but I'm studying up here in Dublin in Portobello Institute, and in fairness now we're getting on well. We don't have too big of a class, but it's I know, look, it's the end goal is there and what I'd like to do, and as I said, in a couple of years I'll be joining Tony at that table then.
Should he stop now, Tony?
No. It's a good career choice, so it is. But he's work cut out. There's a lot of hard work to get where we are. But it's all worth in the end. The college, there's a lot of work that goes into it. But he's not one to shy away from it.
Yeah, Shane, how long have you left? Another year, have you? Or?
No, I just started. I literally just started there in October. So it's actually a 3-year course with the 1-year add-on. So it'll be 4 in total.
And how's that going to work?
Yeah.
Will you travel up and down to Galway then for training and stuff like that, or how's that going to operate?
Yeah, that's the plan. So just all depends on the timetable and that to make it work and that. But see, there's part of our course can be done online as well, and so it's just a matter of hopefully the practicals don't clash with the day after maybe a training, because I can go down to a training and maybe log into a lecture at home then the following day and then come up the following day. So in fairness, like I'm lucky enough with the kind of where I'm starting off with college, like as regards to starting off probably with a bit of a head start. So I'd like to think that the matured head going back to college will stand to me. And in fairness, Porrick and the lads are very understanding in that regard. And there's lads that are working up here in Dublin as well, and there's a couple of lads in college up here as well. So we'll all link in to get down, and it'll be a bit of bonding time as well. As I said, like it's good crack, and you'd have seen lads doing it in years gone by, and I just see it as an outbreak really, because you'll be in a classroom and trying to do a bit of study, as Tony was saying there, that like there's a lot of work involved in it, and you wouldn't see it in the finished article with teachers. No offense, Tony, but it's
taken.
But yeah, look, it's it's something to look forward to, like, and it's as I said, I'm looking forward to going down to train. Like it'll never be a strain on me, because I said I love doing it. So but no, just looking forward to that challenge it brings. But I'm hugely motivated for it as well.
Yeah, and Tony, just in terms of the future for yourself, obviously, did you have an ankle operation there a few weeks ago, or is it just?
So about 3 weeks ago. So I kind of got hurt last year's quarterfinal against Waterford. So I tried to get as long as I could out of it, and just deteriorated there about 2 or 3 months ago. So had to go and get it done. So I'll miss the county final on Sunday, and probably a good portion of the league next year. So the kind of goal is back for April for the championship.
All right, okay. And just longer term, then, will you look at? You're a selector in Ballyea at the moment. Will you look at coaching in the future and management, do you think, or what?
In terms of coaching, yeah, definitely. I've done a good shot of coaching in my local club. Flannan's here as well. We're in the Dean Ryan final next week, so I'm involved in that with a couple of teachers in Flannan's as well. So yeah, definitely, like Shane said, I've kind of got that kind of hurling drug in me now, and you kind of as you get older, then you get more experience, you get wiser about the game, and it's definitely something I can see myself going into longer term after I'm finished. And it's just something that interests me, especially at the minute working with younger players. I get a kind of a kick off seeing them develop, get better. With older lads, it's maybe harder to see the development, whereas younger players can shock you in a development in the matter of a 3-month or 6-month period. So yeah, definitely it's coaching I can see myself getting into when I'm finished.
Yeah, and I'm really, we see it in, I suppose, the workplace now around different coaching style and coaching rather than sort of directing, you know, what we used to call command and control sort of management within organizations now, much more coaching and mentoring and that type of thing. Who would you sort of think about, Tony, over the years as a coach and manager? Like, obviously there's different styles, and when you look at the Premier League, like that sort of thing, and different county teams here, you see the different styles. You know, who has sort of impressed you really, both in, say, your own career and outside that, in terms of coaching and managing?
Yeah, look, I've been blessed kind of with coaches from a young age, and I suppose you kind of, when you get coached by someone and you've been successful with them, that's kind of what you always kind of draw back on. We had great coaches underage. My father actually managed a lot of our underage club teams and brought in a coach, Fergie Loughlin, from a neighbouring club, Clarecastle, who trained us right through kind of underage club, from under 12s right up to minors and 21s. Then in the kind of a county setup, we had Diddy Fitz and Kinnerk. Paul Kinnerk were obviously exceptional as well at senior level. But my first kind of real taste of kind of a really kind of professional setup would have been with kind of the minors with Clare and the 21s with Donald Maloney, Jerry O'Connor, and they had Paul Kinnerk as a coach as well, and that was eye-opening from being a club player going into that kind of setup. It was just a different level of preparation, different level of training, and then from that was kind of coupled with the senior setup then with Fitzy as well, and obviously Paul Kinnerk was his coach as well. So from the minor days, under 21 days with Donald, Jerry, and Paul, it was that gave me a platform to improve my own game, and the rest of us to improve our own game as well. So that's kind of the setup I draw on most, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Very good. Is that Jerry O'Connor from Cork? No, originally, no, or is that
no? He's Clareman. He was with Donald over the seniors there a couple of years ago as well. But yeah, so there's been loads of examples. Our current senior management with the club, excellent as well, have had him for a number of years as well. So there's loads you can draw on, and bits and pieces you take from everyone.
Yeah, totally. Shane, yourself, anyone that really stands out for you in your sort of football career?
Yeah, it's probably interesting, like, as Tony was saying there about like coaching at a younger age compared to the I suppose what they call the finished article, and people like ourselves, like it's very hard to coach someone different things at 26, 27, that kind of age, like where they probably think they have it all, but they've built a lot of your technique as well. So you're basically relying on kind of, it's all tactical and just physically the aerobic capacity to run more, basically. Whereas at underage, then like you can see the difference when players are working on with their weaker foot, for example, or for Tony be the weaker side in hurling, like Joe, and those are the things you'll see those improvements coming over the weeks, and like that's refreshing. I think that's that kind of sign of things, because that you're saying what I'm actually doing is working, whereas you're kind of waiting for a game scenario at an older group to see have they performed the tactics, do they understand what they're doing, you know. So but probably for me, like, I'd go back to my principal in national school, Paddy Brandon. Like, he was very good for us at underage as regards to just that exposure to the different skills of the games. And like Joe, for me, if I didn't get that at that age, I might be like a lot of other footballers there that would struggle to kick off their weaker side. But then as you grow older, I suppose like my first taste of an inter-county setup would have been at minor level under Tommy Joyce, and like Joe, again, that was all kind of new to me. The gym was starting to get bigger around that time as well, and then like I suppose a couple of people who would have really sat with me in the last couple of years would be like Paddy Talley from down there. Like, just really, like as Tony was saying, you're kind of gaining something from everyone that you've worked with. Like, so from Paddy's point of view, like the intensity of the game, like the intensity he brings to your training sessions, and like where you think you could be versus where he's trying to get you to, like, and it's very good, like, and
No, totally. Yeah.
even
Listen,
you go back to like.
Sorry, Shane, sorry to cut you off, but we're sort of up for time, right? And I'd just like to thank Tony and yourself, Shane, for coming on today. If anyone can see the films on 70minutesofhome.ie, and we'll say hello to Breed Stack down in Australia, off Gallivanton down there, who couldn't make it today as well. So and it's great to have you on board during the year, and obviously the best of luck really for next year for yourself, Tony, obviously in recovery, and for yourself, Shane, and the course and with Galway, and we'll leave it there. Thanks a million, lads.
Cheers, thanks, Al.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Bye bye.